So here I have a beat that I made with VCV Rack. The beat is comprised of a snare drum, a bass drum, and a hi-hat. And with the snare drum, that is made up of both the noise, which here is pink noise, um, and also there is like a tom-tom sound, which I put on this row down here. This is the tom-tom sound of the snare drum, and that's made with a VCO sawtooth wave put into an envelope and then run through a low pass filter. And then finally the bass drum is a VCO sine wave which I run through an envelope, and then there's another envelope that's also triggered at the same time as the bass drum. The other envelope controls the voltage per octave control of the VCO. So what that does is it makes it so that the pitch of the bass drum changes according to this second envelope shape. So, and then finally I've got the hi-hat, and the hi-hat is a violet noise, just because I found the violet has more sort of high-end sizzle than everything else. And obviously it's run through an envelope as well, and it comes out the high pass filter. And to control the in order to control the release of the hi-hat, you see how I've got this random run into an LFO, a low frequency oscillator, and then into the release. So the envelope changes according to this random sine wave oscillator, and that makes the hi-hat not exactly the same every time, because if the hi-hat sounds exactly the same on every hit, it doesn't really sound like a real drum kit. So when you change the parameters around here, it changes the sound. So let's run it. So if I adjust, I can't adjust the release much. Yeah, I think around 6 or 7. You see how when I put the release up, the control voltage in the release, it makes more variance in the hi-hat. So I liked it at about 6. So basically, so it's mostly the same every hit, but every now and then you get one slightly different. I get a little confused with all of these other parameters with the random and the LFO on that. It's hard to hear exactly what is happening. Now I had some issues with the bass drum because sometimes it would sound good through headphones but not through the speakers, because they're just small speakers like people have on their phones or on their laptops. Sometimes it would sound good just through the headphones or just through the speakers, so I had to tweak it a bit to get it to sound good through both. I'm not sure exactly how well I've done, but that's just an early thing. What you can hear at the moment is the speakers of my Mac Mini running into the microphone of my Mac Mini as I record this. So the sound you're getting now is not exactly how it's going to sound in the end. Right, I'll stop that, and now you can hear how I've recorded it into Audacity. And what I did here was I isolated each of the three parts, the bass drum, the snare drum, and the hi-hat, and I recorded each of them separately so that I can adjust parameters in Audacity. What I didn't do was separate the tom-tom from the snare sound in the snare drum. So the snare sound that I've got is, that's the only sound that I've got here. But if I play it, you can hear it sounds kind of the same. I added a few snare drum hits here and there to play around with. Sorry, I added a few hi-hat hits to get some hi-hat fills, to get that sort of cicada-y hi-hat sound. What I've been doing, it's a really modern thing, and I'm a bit of a, I'm a millennial, so this stuff is kind of modern compared to what I listen to, the sort of cicada synthesized hi-hat sound. I'm not that familiar with it, but I'm experimenting. And also, to my taste, the music coming out at the moment, the hi-hat tends to be a little louder than what I'm used to. But what I did was I made the cicada sound quieter. But if I make it the same volume as if I make that cicada hi-hat the same volume as the rest of it, you hear how it's you hear how those little hits are the same volume as all the rest of it. To my taste, I like to put that down a bit, so it's, you see, so it's not that overpowering. So that the normal hi-hat sound is still going to be the same volume, but the extra hi-hat hits down here are going to be a bit quieter. I can make them really quiet. We'll see how that goes. Actually, it's kind of nice when when those little hi-hat rolls, when those are really quiet, it sounds more like an actual drum kit. I think because the stick rolls quieter on the subsequent hits, so that's more realistic. Whereas what you hear in a lot of music today is like it's the same volume on every little hit of the roll. You see? And that sounds really synthesized and not so natural, like if you make the roll quieter. I mean, it's still doesn't sound like an actual drum kit, like the way a drummer would hit a hi-hat, but it's a little bit more realistic.